So this book is called The Coldest Winter Ever, and it's by Sister Soulja. I'm going to start reading with the dedication page because I think it's beautiful. So Sister Soulja says, there is no such thing as love anymore. That kind that is so strong that you can feel it in your bones. You know, we used to feel that emotion when we looked in the faces of our mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, family, and friends. There's no such thing as love anymore. At least not the deep, satisfying kind that sits on your heart and influences every decision and action that you take throughout the day. There's no reason to celebrate anymore, just empty actions and reactions, calculated gestures and financial arrangements. There's no such thing as love anymore. This novel is dedicated to the era in which we live, the era in which we love. Loyalty, truth, honor, and respect died, where humility and appreciation are non-existent, where families are divided and God rebelled. The era, the coldest winter ever, by Sister Soulja. Chapter 1. I never liked Sister Soulja straight up. She the type of female I like to cut in the face with my razor. Before I get heated just talking about her, let me make it clear who I am and where I stand. Don't go jump into any conclusions either. All of y'all are too quick to jump to her defense without knowing what somebody up close and personal thinks. When it comes right down to it, those are the ones who really count. The people who was there, who's seen it all. Hell, you can't smell nobody's breath through a camera. You almost can't even see their pimples. So you know what? That TV shit ain't real. Don't run ahead of me. Let me take my time and tell my story. Brooklyn born, I don't have no sob stories for you about ratchets and roaches and pissy hallways. I came busting out of my mama's big coochie on January 28th, 1977. Mother named me Winter. Oh, during one of New York's worst snowstorms. So my mother named me Winter. My father, Ricky Santiago, was so proud of his new baby girl that he had a limo waiting to pick my mom's up from the hospital. The same night I got home, my pops gave me a diamond ring set in 24 karat gold. My mom said that my fingers were too small and soft to even hold the ring in place. But he insisted that he had a guy who would have it adjusted just right. It was important for me to know I deserved the best. No slum jewelry or cheap shoes or knockoff designer stuff. Only the real thing. We lived in the projects, but we were cool with that. We weren't wanting for a damn thing. I had 3 aunts, 4 uncles, and a whole slew of cousins. As far as we were concerned, it was live for us to all be chilling in the same building, or at least the building next over. We never had to worry about getting into fights because around our way we had a reputation. Plus, it was plain and simple common sense. If you put your hands on anybody in the family, you would get jumped by the next oldest person in our family, and so on and so on. Sooner than later, we didn't even have to say a word. Everybody understood that our family had the neighborhood locked down. It wasn't even worth the trouble. Our apartment in the projects was dipped. We had royal red carpets on the floors, top-of-the-line furniture, a fully loaded entertainment system, equipment, and all that good stuff. I loved my pops with a passion. He was the smoothest nigga in the world. When he came into a room, he made a difference. His cologne came around the corner, introducing him before you could even see him. He spoke softly with deep seriousness. He was light-skinned, tall, with curly black hair, and a fine, thin mustache to match. He was medium built, definitely in shape. The thing that stood out about him was his style. His clothes were crisp, expensive. He never wore the same shirt twice. He could do it like that because he was smart. He never used the drugs he sold. He collected his money on time and made examples of any fool who tried to cheat him. He had a saying, 1 copper penny, 1 finger. All the ladies loved him, but he wasn't what I would call a ladies' man. He never had no girlfriend. At least no female ever called the house trying to front on my mom. I can't recall any incidents involving any other women. Accusations of uncomfortableness. He was a family man. Everybody in the world knew my mom's was his wife. his one and only, his soft spot. Moms and pops have been young lovers, and unlike a whole lot of niggas, they stayed together. She was 14 when she had me. Folks said she looked great during pregnancy and would switch her ass around the neighborhood flowing easy like water. She would wear fine Italian leather stilettos, even in her 7th month. Moms had everything by the way of clothes, and anything else you could think of. Her mahogany skin was smooth as Hershey's chocolate bar. When she went anywhere, she was well coordinated. If she had on a zebra skin hat, she'd sport a zebra skin pants and would have a zebra skin pattern on all 10 toes. She even had the Victoria's Secret zebra pattern panties and camisole. What separated her from every other woman any of us knew was just that she had so much class. While the others were putting their imitation leathers and zebra skins on layaway, piece by piece, Mama wouldn't be caught dead without her shit perfectly arranged. By the time hoes sported their outfits, all their shit was played out, straight out of style. When it came to shopping, Mama had no mercy, and that's the way Santiago liked it. His woman was supposed to be the showstopper. Mama didn't work because beauty, she said, was a full-time occupation that left no room for anything else. She'd sit on her vanity table for 3 hours, making sure she positioned each extra long lash just right. She'd argue with anyone who said she wasn't born with those lashes that framed her big, wide brown eyes that were gorgeous with or without falsies. She made it clear to me that beautiful women are supposed to be taken care of. She would whisper in my ear, "I'm just a bad bitch." Now, a bad bitch is a woman who handles her business without making it seem like business. Only dumb girls let love get them delirious to the point where they let things that really count go undone. For example, you see a good-looking nigga walking down the Ave, you get excited. You get wet just thinking about him. You step to him, size him up. You think, he looks good. You slide your eyes down to his zipper and check for a print. Oh shoot, people walking by, so I got distracted. You slide your eyes down to his zippers, check for the print. Inside you scream, yes, it's all there. But then you realize he's not wearing a watch, ain't carrying no car keys, no jewels. He's sporting last month's sneakers. He's broke as hell. A bad bitch realizes there has to be 2 options. She can take him home and get her groove on, just enjoy the sex and don't get emotionally involved because he cannot afford her. Or 2, she can walk away and leave his broke ass standing right there. Having a relationship is out. Getting emotionally involved is out. Taking him seriously is out. If a bad bitch is extra slick, she could keep this guy on the side for the good sex. He then becomes a commercial to the money man, who is the main program. The money man is the guy who knows how to provide, knows how to bring home the goodness, and bless his woman with everything she wants. Now, the money man might not ring any bells sexually, but if he has ends, if his pockets are heavy, a bad bitch will moan like this nigga is Casanova. When he's sexing her, she'll shake, pant, and cry out like he's creating orgasms as strong as ocean waves. Now, Mom must have been a bad bitch because she had it both ways. She had the money man with the good looks, loyalty, and I know Pops was laying it down in the bedroom. I don't know how she said that. Mom's got her hair done once every 3 days. The shop we went to, because she always took me, was for the high roller girls. Those were the women in the neighborhood who were able to hook the big money fish. They all went to the shop to get their hair done, nails did, and more importantly, to show off and update on the shit going on. Airlines was where we would go to get our hair done while we collected information on the side. By the time I was 7, I understood the rules perfectly. Keep the family business quiet. Most things were better left unsaid. Even though this was the high rollers hair shop, we were clear that motherfuckers were jealous of us. My pop's operation was steadily building. As a young guy, he started off as a lookout, but he was so sharp that now he has organized his own thing. He has his own workers and whatnot. People knew he was headed to be the next big Willie by his style. He was respected for his product, which was never watered down, always a fair cut for your money. So me and my moms would catch those jealous glances, but we threw them shits right back. Our attitude towards other females was, hey, your man works for my pops. Bow down to the family who puts food on your table for you and yours. Santiago was the #1 businessman in our area by the time I was 13, running things. Although he taught me never sweat the small stuff, it seemed like every move he made thought about carefully. I would hear his keys unlocking the first door into our apartment. Then the men he was with, his workers, would stand in a limited space between the first door and the heavy metal second door that actually led into our place and talk. After they handled their matters, you would hear the first door open, then slam again. Pops would lock it and then unlock the second door to come inside. Whatever pressure he felt, whatever weight or business he had was left between those two doors, because when he came inside, he brought his sexy smile, excited eyes, and power along with him. He would show us all love. He would have whatever any of us asked him for in his pocket, no matter how small the request, down to a Snickers bar. If any of us had a problem of any kind, we could ask him, and he'd make the answer so simple that I'd wonder how I couldn't have figured it out myself. If something was on his mind, he'd go in the back to a private room he had Woody the carpenter build and pull out his chessboard. Funny thing, he wouldn't play with anybody, just against himself. When I'd ask him why, he'd say, that's how I stay on top, baby. I look at life from every position. I play from every side. You gotta know what each man on the board is thinking, down to the littlest motherfucker like the pawn. Now, Daddy would explain that other players are too quick to sacrifice or ignore the pawn, but he was too smart for that. The pawns are my soldiers, he would say. If I surround myself with strong soldiers, give them all a stake in the game, then they keep the hood strong and tight. He would look into my eyes as if to ask, do I understand? I didn't want him to know I digged him so much that I listened to him for hours as he wanted to talk, but I didn't give a fuck about the game of chess. He would break down how around our way, there were always some young kids trying to spread their wings and test his operation. He said they were mostly stupid though, because no smart guy is going to try to kick in the door of a big man unless he got extra tight, professional, strong, and ruthless crew. But every now and then, some dumb-ass young kid who's seen too many Scarface-type movies, he will try to take over what can only kill him. He loses. Santiago said, knocking the Black King over on the chessboard. He loses because he never understood the game. The up-and-coming dealers on the block was Santiago's #2 problem. I was his #1. He loved me like crazy, but was getting nervous about the way men, young and old, was checking for me. It was amazing how in 1 year, from age 12 to 13, my titties sprouted. I even had the ass to match. I didn't know who was more excited, the men or me. I was walking around poking my stuff in every direction that looked good to me. But anybody who stared my way for more than a few seconds was in danger of catching a critical beatdown. Pops had already made an example of at least 2 niggas around my way. Santiago sliced one dude from his left ear to his right. That kind of cut is called a hospital run. But this guy never got to go to the hospital. Santiago let his blood gush out until the doc got to our apartment. Now, Doc ain't really no doctor. He just had some medical training in the army. Santiago calls him when he don't need the police and hospitals butting around in his business. Well, when Doc got finished with the dude, his cut just bubbled up way across his face. Everybody in the neighborhood started calling him Bubbles for that ugly scar. Bubbles' crime was looking at me with lust in his eyes, while he was supposed to be installing a safe in our apartment. Now, Bubbles was a walking billboard that nobody is allowed to fuck with Santiago's daughter. After that, we got the second metal door installed in our apartment, and none of Daddy's workers were allowed past that door again. Now, Moms thought Santiago was way overboard. She told him that she was going to get me some birth control pills and just let me go, because when a woman wants to get fucked, she gets fucked. She gets fucked whether it's in a car or a closet. The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soulja. So, on page 9, we get introduced to Midnight. And I just love this part. Excuse my allergies. I'm in the botanical gardens and it's spring. So, as busy as they kept me, there was Midnight. I guess he got that name because midnight was about the only thing blacker than him. He was one of my father's workers. He was real serious like my father. He always looked like he was thinking deep thoughts and had a lot on his mind. I figured maybe he had a plan to take over the world. I liked that because he would need to take over the world to win me. He smiled. He never smiled. He didn't joke around like other niggas in our age group. He did his pickups and delivery like clockwork. My father once referred to him as a strong young lieutenant. Santiago liked him because he said he never tried to test or flex. He knew Santiago was the boss, and he was comfortable and cool with that. Midnight never attempted to skim, pay late, or run games, like some guys did when they first start out. I liked Midnight for other reasons too. In the summertime, he wore white when he played basketball. His mother, whoever washed his clothes, must have been more handy than them happy homemakers on the TV commercial, because his shit was crisp. But what really got me was that black skin. It was smooth and perfect. It laid on top of his bone structure tight like saran wrap. His arms were cut. I could tell he lifted weights. But he wasn't big and swole like these little dick assholes in the magazines. He was tall, yet medium-sized and perfect. His muscles were defined, his veins stuck out, emphasizing his strength. His neck was slim and strong. He would come to the park only on Sundays. I know, because I was clocking him like that. He would be wearing a new sweatsuit every time. He held his money in a gold money clip. He would take the money clip with the money neatly stacked out of his sweatpants pocket. He'd take off his pants, stripping down to the basketball shorts he had on underneath. His powerful legs were as cut as his upper body. For this, I gave him mad respect. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen with a strong upper bodies and then them chicken legs. He would put that money clip on the inside of his basketball shorts and play ball. My eyes would move in and out of his structure. I couldn't wait to put my lips against his skin and maybe suck on his collarbone or something to make the package complete. Midnight's kicks were always new and clean. Now, Midnight never paid me no mind. I wasn't worried though. I wasn't worried about it though, because one thing I learned from my mother is that a bad bitch gets what she wants if she works her shit right. Pops also taught me something useful about patience. He said sometimes the victory is sweeter when it takes a long time to carry out the plan, and you catch the person completely off guard. What I was up against was the fact that Midnight worked for my pops. So even if he ever considered me, he probably ruled me out. He was 5 years older than me, so he might have also considered me jailbait. The worst thing about it was I couldn't tell either way. You know how they say a person's face is a dead giveaway? Well, Midnight was the opposite. His face seemed serious all the time. His reactions just didn't show up. Even when he plays ball, he didn't trash talk like other niggas. He didn't even react when they tried to mess with him. He just seemed focused on the basket, made his moves, scored his jumpers, and didn't even smile when he won. At first, to get his attention, I did regular things like rocking my shirts extra mini, shortening my already short shorts, sporting my halter tops, and little cute metallic bras. As I got sexier, he went from looking at me almost never to never looking at me at all. While in his presence, or at least when I was in the same park he was in watching him play ball, I would try to get his attention by acting mad. I'd suck my teeth, roll my eyes at him, still nothing. So I decided to make him a long shot project. Meanwhile, I had my own fun stuff going on. I would let niggas take me to the movies, or should I say, I went to the movies with my girlfriends and I met niggas there, not wanting to ruffle Santiago's feathers by bringing a worthless nigga home. Sometimes we would just chill at my girl Natalie's apartment. Her mom was never home, so we had free run of the place. Getting my first sugar daddy was no problem. His name was Sterling. I met him in Lower Manhattan at a grocery market when I sat in to get some chapstick on a fickle autumn morning. I guess my style just overwhelmed him. Because instead of reaching into the cash register and giving me my damn change, his eyes slid between my breasts like he wished he could be one of my gold chains. I recognized him immediately as a sucker, somebody I could take for all he had. All his thoughts showed on his face. It was clear that I had his full attention as I gave him a blast of ghetto attitude. I put my hands on my hips saying, "My money or your life?" He started staring. He looked startled, stopped staring, and counted out my change. I laughed. "Do you need your receipt?" he asked with his with his enthusiastic, corny ass trying to prolong the conversation. "If that's all you have to offer," I said with a serious look and sparkle of sexiness. He gave me my money and cleared his throat. Turned from the register with his cheap white dress shirt and $2 high and followed me as I walked towards the door. I guess he had it like that. He could walk away from the register because he was a store manager. "So what's your name?" he asked, looking like he thought he could actually make some progress with me. "Winter," I said, rolling my eyes with disinterest. "You live around here?" "Brooklyn, baby, no doubt." The rest is history. He got paid every 2 weeks and so did I. He worked at the store and I worked on him. I had him buying me shit he couldn't afford. We ate at places he never knew existed. Whatever little money he took home in pay, I took my 25% like I was his freaking agent or something. It worked out smooth. Him living in Manhattan and Santiago, out of Santiago's eyesight. Besides, the little piece of cash he provided meant a new outfit, an extra gold bangle to my collection, whatever. Like my mom says, you can never have too much. Santiago shook up what was supposed to be my sweet 16th with shocking news. We were all around the table. My chocolate Baskin-Robbins ice cream cake was bombarded with small nuts and 16 carefully placed maraschino, I don't know why I can't say it, cherries. Daddy handed me a long slim box. The kind I like because it almost always needs jewelry. I tore off the gold wrapping paper and smiled widely as I lifted my new diamond tennis bracelet off the clean white cotton. My mother's mouth hung open as she inspected my diamonds from across the table. Even though she knew better, she was confirming that they were white, clear, and sparkled like diamonds, not cubic zirconia. As I put the bracelet on, Santiago handed me a birthday card. This was unusual because we weren't big on cards and poetry and shit like that in the family. As I fumbled with the catch on my bracelet, my mom opened the card, suspecting, I guess, that there must be some birthday money in it or something. She probably figured that if I got cash in addition to this bracelet, Santiago had gone overboard again and would need a talking to later. As she opened the card, 2 Polaroid snapshots fell out onto the table. She picked it up, twisted up her face with curiosity and said, "Baby, what is this?" "It's our new house in Long Island," Daddy said, coolly with pride and confidence. "I wanted to surprise everybody, and I figured today was as good as any day. We're moving. First class, baby. Only the best. Top shelf for my ladies in life." I was feeling crazy. The gold candles on my cake melted away, and so did my dreams under the pressure of the flickering fire. All I knew was the projects. It was where my friends, family, and all my great adventures were. I knew these streets like I knew the curves of my own body. I was the princess of these alleyways, back staircases, and whatnot. What was the point of moving? Santiago said you gotta live. Santiago always said you gotta live where business is to avoid a hostile takeover. He said that a man's gotta carry a powerful presence in his neighborhood so the small time stinkers didn't start itching with takeover fever. Now, it was like we were cutting out. So I did something that I normally would not do. I questioned Santiago. Why? What's the point? Why are we about to do something that you said we would never do? Santiago simply said, "Baby girl, things is on a new level. It was cool to rest my head here in the past, but my business is bigger and better than ever. I can't let them get too familiar with the routine. I gotta switch up, keep them guessing." Me, Mama, and Porsche were all seated stiff and silent. The babies didn't know what the fuck was going on. Surprise swirled around. He continued. Everyone could handle my success. Everyone can't handle my success. Eventually, some fool will snap out of order and try to bring it to me by hurting one of my girls. His long finger pointed at us, his eyes locked into each of our eyes individually. He was making good sense, but I was still vexed. I figured, yeah, sounds good and all, but I'm not done with the idea of running from a fight. I'm not down with the idea of running from a fight. It's just straight up not Santiago style. Santiago picked up on my expression quickly and said, now, you know I don't run from no war. I'll take on anybody who wants to bring it to me. But what I'm not having is nobody fucking with my ladies. If they want war, let it be man to man and only the men. It seemed like Santiago knew something he wasn't telling us. He was dead serious, and I knew that his statements were coming from somewhere. This place, he added, holding up the picture, his finger pointing out to the his finger pointing out the mansion. This is a safe place. Man, wait till you see it. Shit is laid out so nice, it's like heaven. The rules for our move out of Brooklyn were clear and non-negotiable. Don't talk about it. We knew no matter how silent we were, there would still be chatter. My mother's brothers and sisters and their husbands and boyfriends, who all worked for Papa, would definitely have something to say. That didn't matter. Santiago said, I'll take care of everything. Just don't add to it. In my last few days, everything was moving like a slow motion film. Shit that stank more. Anything sweet seemed even sweeter. I spent all my extra time with my girls. We were mad tight. Many of us born and raised in the same spot. Take me and Natalie, for instance. We did everything together. We even got our cherries bursted together and lied to each other about how good the first time felt. And when the truth was, those dicks ripped our tight little 12-year-old tunnels apart. We fought over whose dates were finer, even though Jamal and Jacob were twins. But I knew Jamal was cuter because he had a fine black mole on his right cheek, and that shit was sexy. Natalie said Jamal was the one who made my titties grow. Cause after me and him started getting down, I went from flat-chested to all eyes on me. When my girl Soulja had I'm gonna stop right here because people talking, messing up my video.